Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross here, as we are each and every Tuesday. You must be overtired because you're in a good mood again, Adam. And I haven't seen you for a while. How you been?
I'm thinking about what jerks you and Spencer are. Dog-hating jerks. My dog, I'm now playing the longest game of keep away in history because my dog was given a new squeaky toy. And the two of you Grinches said, do something about that toy. Now Decker thinks I'm playing with him because I got the toy stuffed down my shirt so he can't get to it for the next hour. And he's just sitting on the other side of the camera wagging his tail. There, see? He upset the whole table.
Just give it to him, I guess. I don't know. We come from a professional background, so Adam and Spencer and I try to get it straight, but, you just have no morals when it comes to show quality, so...
I don't have a compass for the professionalism required to put on shows of the nature of which we do.
Come on, a squeak toy in the background, you should know better than that. We have a good show coming up. Mike Bowman's going to join us, fresh off his success on the Dirt Rush weekend. Matt Williamson's going to join us. We haven't heard Matt from these parts in a while to talk about how his summer's been going. We're also going to bring Doug Leonard on to rekindle the debate about the finish line. Should it be visual? Should it be a transponder? And the situation that happened in the Thunder Sox, or Hoosier Sox, I should say, at Merrittville on Saturday. We'll talk about NPS going to CTMP this weekend. We'll talk about ICAR that just passed. We'll talk about Sobel. Anything else you guys want us to talk about, let us know. We'll jump into it. Adam, we've had a couple of crazy days. We did Sobel on Saturday, and we had to call the ICAR race right out of Montreal and nearly didn't make the transition into the APC race. Tonight, we were at the studios calling the Canadian Dirt Tour on TSN, the voiceovers for that, and both had to rush back to our home studios to make it here. But it's the best time of the year. We're winding down, but we're busy.
It's, it's hard for me to call it the best time of the year because I see the days getting shorter. And it's tough to not get bummed out about it because I just love the summer so much. But it really is fun times.
Mike Bowman will be joining us in just a moment. But I got to send a shout out to my dad. My dad watches every week here religiously. He's feeling a little bit under the weather. So, Dad, hopefully you get better. Thanks for tuning in. And glad we got him his laptop today so he'll be able to watch and participate with us. So hopefully feel better soon, Dad. Let's jump into everything. Bring Mike Bowman on, Spencer. Let's talk to Mike. Fresh off $30,000 in sprint car winnings as part of the NASCAR weekend. Sit Bull stepped up, and Mike was the beneficiary. Swept all 4 races. Mike, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us.
How's it going, guys?
Good. What did you buy anything special with your winnings, or does that all go back into the program?
I did buy something special, yeah. But I gotta wait on that because Brandy doesn't know about it yet.
All right. You let us know.
Old move.
Well, the
Mike,
anniversary weekend is coming up, so.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
Mike, let's talk about that quickly. You have a good crew out on the road with you. The family doesn't always get to come. You're able to pick up the win Saturday at Merrittville. Brandy and the kids could be there. Just quickly before we jump into too much, how cool is that?
It's the best. When I pulled the thing up to the front straightaway there, I was, barely had the engine shut off. My daughter's right at the side of the car, trying to climb in, and it's the best feeling in the world.
And as well as that, you've still got your dad at the track cheering you on as well. So the person who used to be your biggest fan, now he's still in the top 3 or 4, but it's pretty cool. They had 3 generations there enjoying that show.
Yeah, it's always great. That's the thing with Merrittville for me is, as much as I'm racing with you guys weekly, Merrittville is the home track. It's where I've been racing weekly since 2005. And, that's what, kept us around there is just, it's 15 minutes from the shop and all your friends and family are there. my dad's 78. Ashweeken's a haul for him. He lives in Beamsville, so it's like an hour and 20 for him to get out there. And getting home at 1:30 in the morning is not something that he's too thrilled with. But thankfully, you guys are putting awesome stuff on the G-Force live stream. So he kind of takes a couple weeks off and then ends up coming, and he's brought some buddies out. We've got some wins with his buddies out from high school, which was pretty cool. But yeah, that's that.
Mike, let's jump right into the fun stuff. A lot of talk has been made about you getting through tech and how good your car's been running. This isn't a new thing for you, Mike. You've faced this scrutiny every time you've had success in your career. It seems like, they just can't believe you're that good. But you proved it at Merrittville. We'll talk a bit about that in the past. Now you have a whole new group of drivers who maybe don't know your background, don't know where you're from, and you're going to have to prove your legitimacy to them. How frustrating is that for you, and how does that affect you when you come to the track weekly?
It's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't go to the track really to make friends. It's nice. Obviously, when you're on a run like we're on right now, you're going to find out who your friends are, like your true friends are. And, it's nothing new. When I moved up to modified in 2009, like we won, I don't know, we got going, but not maybe as quick as in 360 sprint cars. But we ended up winning 2 out of the last 3 races in a rookie year. We won the finale, the John Spencer race there. And, we were definitely in within a couple of years, we were facing accusations similar to the crap I hear going on now. And all I got to say to anybody doubting my race team is bring it on.
And that's, it's a shame, Mike. We've had this conversation, and I'm all for stringent tech, but
me too.
So are you. I see some of the chatter that goes on in the chat groups, and I know you're as vocal as anybody about, hey, is this being checked, or is this legal? Hey, can I do this? Can I run that? So it's not like you play both sides of the fence. You can't control what the track does, and I think the track does a pretty good technical inspection.
Ashweeken's tech is like the best around. Look at even the facility we get to work in after the race. Like, we're not laying in the dirt. It's like I say, there's a hoist out back, like, and you got lots of guys in tech. It's everybody should be really appreciative of those guys. And right now, I think everybody's being pretty hard on them. But as much tech as we do, there's still some people out there that will believe these things exist in cars without anything being changed, without anything being illegal. So, how much tech can we do? We could take the thing to a bare frame, literally, and leave there with a completely disassembled race car and me naked driving my truck home, and people will still believe in these magical space devices that are able to just pick a car on the racetrack and control it.
Let's back up a number of years, Mike, because how did you become so good on a slick racetrack? Because it's no secret you had your greatest successes have come on slippery tracks where other people, even veterans, Pete Bicknell, people that have been at this game a long, long time, couldn't do what you were doing. Where does that come from?
Well, it's no secret. Merrittville's a slippery place. And, I've been going around there since 2005, racing cars that weigh another 800 pounds more than the stuff we're driving now. And they had harder tires. They had less tire. A big block's, it's 2,500 pounds and it has almost 900 horsepower. And now we're in a car with way more tire, 800 pounds less, and it's making like 1,000 pounds of downforce. It's a completely different animal. and probably, as far as a throttle pedal is concerned, requires way less discipline than a big block on a slippery racetrack.
Mike, let's go back to that Merrittville one. You won a big block race at Merrittville. The box was sent out for the same reasons. I mean, the same kind of accusations or feelings maybe among your competitors were out there. I was there for the trial night when you got in Pete Bicknell's car and you were challenged to make the same noise in his car as you were. So I want to talk about that quickly because there's been some misconceptions on how that night went down. But I was there. Thankfully, it was a sprint car night. A lot of the sprint car teams that are still around were there and made their own speculation on it. Spencer, show the picture I sent today of Mike's ignition box. So after Mike won the big block race at Merrittville, it was sent out. And they cut it open and determined there was nothing special going on there. Mike, talk about that quickly while Spencer shows the photo.
Okay, just for the record, this wasn't that box. This was a box from 2014. So there hasn't been one box that's been sent away over the years. We're talking about 4 or 5. And I think they just got sick of buying them for me. So the sprint car box is a lot more money than these 358 modified boxes, Clint. So nobody's short on change up there. So it'll go as far as it needs to go, I'm sure.
Yeah, if we need to swap boxes, we can easily do that. I'm sure Glenn can afford a few. There's a look at your box. This is a note to Erica. Hey, the box you sent for testing and evaluation checks out okay. No modifications were found. The unit was in factory working order. If you have any questions, let me know. Phil from MSD. And that was your win number 1 that year with the box. Obviously, they destroy it to take it apart to make sure you haven't done it. But, Mike, let's talk about the night. So, your car, let's face it. You want to say what they called you? We had this talk before. Last time someone called you Bowman, I think he got his face filled in one night. But let's talk about that. You can make different noises with your car. Pete Bicknell and the folks, when they owned the place, didn't feel you could do that. And you put your carburetor on their car. And talk about that night, how it went. After the races, you went out and basically made the same kind of noise in Pete's car that you were doing in your own. I think that's the way Cole's Notes version of it. You'd give us your side of it.
Yeah. So, when you move up from a sportsman, to a modified, obviously the horsepower doubles. And, when you're running a carbureted car, if you run lighter throttle springs, you can feel where the secondaries are. And when, on a slippery racetrack, usually tire spin will start to happen when you get into the secondaries. So I ran really light throttle springs so I could feel where the secondaries were. But when you're trying to feather it in the middle of the corner on those light throttle springs, and especially leading races or whatever, or when you're in a situation where your nerves start pumping, my right foot would start jumping from nerves. And it started to make some noise and everybody got tight underwear over it. And this all started my rookie year in 2009. So within 2 years, we'd won, 4 or 5 races. And that night in 2011, I want to say it was maybe the first Gary Cunningham Memorial, which I wish Gary was there that night because Gary would have loved it. But the week before that, I think we started tail and came to 4th. And sorry, I'm backing up a little bit, Clint, but it did all start the week before.
It's good.
I ran to 4th. I pull into tech. I get out of the car, and Rich Lemieux is the tech guy at the time. And he says, "Are you good?" Oh, no, I got mixed up here. Week before we finished 4th, they sent my box. They said they were sending my box away to Dirt, and Dirt was going to play with it at Canandaigua because I believe there was a tire test on Wednesday that week. And I never heard anything more really about it other than that it checked out okay. What I've come to learn through talking to people that were involved in Dirt at the time, so of course this is 10 years and now we can all kind of have a chuckle over this, but me and him were not good at the time. But anyway, the box never left. The box never went to Dirt. The box went up to Merrittville and got played with, not Canandaigua. So I was fed a bunch of goods on that deal too. So that was that. Because I was down at Canandaigua for the Super Dirt Series race the next night, and I ran into the fella in charge. He had no idea about the box. Anyway, next week we started deep, and I think we won. And pull into tech, and Rich Lemieux says, "Are you good?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." He says, "We're taking the whole car." So I said, "Oh yeah, where are you taking the car?" I said, "You're not taking it to Cushman Road, first of all, because like, what are we going to do? Take my race car to my competitor's shop right now? Like, this is not happening." So anyway, I said, "Tech whatever you want to tech, but this, you got to make your determination tonight, or you got to confiscate some parts tonight. But you're definitely, or find a more suitable neutral location. But my car is not going down to Pete Bicknell's shop. There's no way." So that was that. There were some arguments. My dad ended up going right in Pete Bicknell's face and asking him nose to nose, "Do you think I'm cheating?" And Pete Bicknell looked at him and said, "Yes, I do." So it went from there. And then they decided that I should try to get in, or I should get in the 42 modified and go out there and make the same noise. So I said, "No problem, as long as everything's the same. I want the throttle ratios the same. I want my throttle springs set up the same. I even want my carburetor on there. You guys can tech the carburetor, put my carburetor on the 42. So that's what we did. And they told me it was all the same. So I hopped in and I pushed the pedal once. I said, "It's not the same." And I said, "Pass me a flashlight. Give me a flashlight." Lo and behold, there's a giant spring going from inside the car down to his gas pedal. So I asked for side cutters, got rid of that. Then it felt the same. And when I pushed it and it felt the same, I knew we were about to put on a show. So then I went out and did a bunch of laps, and we made all the noises that they wanted. And then they stopped me on the back chute. I think it was Tom Beals. And he said, "They want to put a transponder on you. They think you're sandbagging." So I said, "Put the transponder on." And I believe we went around there as fast or a tenth quicker than Peter did in his modified that night. And pulled her back in the pits. And I got out and took a stage bow and asked for my money.
I remember
Clint,
it was a pretty wild night. Yeah, and we all knew what the drama that was going on. I mean, I was an announcer at Maryville that time. I remember, and I was a roving announcer on the back of the trucks. I remember going down there trying to mic up your car and hear what you were doing with
You
the
did.
throttle.
I remember that.
And yeah, just like now, Mike, let's make it straight. I've known you 20 years. But
I remember you hanging the microphone out over the guardrail.
Yeah. Like right now, I'm out to catch you. I'm doing everything I can do to find out what's going on in your race car if it isn't you. And like, I look at it like the old Looney Tunes cartoon where, the wolf and the sheepdog drive to work together, Ralph and Sam, and one goes in the referee door and one goes in the hockey player's dressing room. We're going to do our things at work, but on the way home we should be able to have a beer and still be friends. And if we're not friends, then I don't understand you, or you're not really understanding what I'm all about. And I think we have that understanding that you're a competitor, but you also understand in order to keep the success of us we can go, we have to stay up your ass and make sure we're giving you every check. And I told you the night before you won the crate race, if you win again, we're going to tear your car down. And you went out and smashed them, and we tore your car down. So, yeah, but I think that the night we were doing everything we could to find out what was going on. And I think you shut up a lot of people that night, because that's the beauty of it after the race is out. I mean, it's quiet. And at Maryville Speedway on the back straight where the modifieds park, all of a sudden after half an hour, one modified goes back out. Everybody, the murmur was, "Oh my God, Bowman's getting in Bicknell's car." So when he came in and did it, I think that shut up a lot of the talk about what Mike was doing with the car, the noise it was making. There's always going to be a couple of them out there who feel, it's incredulous that you're doing this. But, I think you shut a lot of people up that night. And then, so it's been a running deal. Mike, let's shift gears a bit though, Adam. Mike rented a car from Pete Costco. His first foray into the dirt at Maryville, the first time I ever saw Mike. And he won. Beating Brad Rose. No?
That's not accurate.
I thought you won your first race.
I won my first race my rookie year, which was my fourth race.
But still, okay, let's even put that into perspective. You've been in the car 3 times, and you go out and beat Pitsy and Rouse and all the top guys at that time, which was no small feat, So
I think I raced Derek Lemire for the win.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Derek was one of our guys.
So
Yep.
the long and the short of it is, and Clinton, this is from me standing back watching you. You want to take everybody to the hill, but catch nobody. Like, the goal is for the winner to win a race, stand in victory lane, wave the checkered flag, then go into the tech shack, and for everybody there, forget about the fans really, because they'll accept what is out there. But for everyone in the pits to go home and say, you know what, the best car won tonight, or the best driver beat us tonight, fair and square, they went through that tech building and left to go home. And all these stories we're telling are just sidebars to what you have to do to prove to the pit area, that the driver that beat them was driving a legal car. It's not as much about the racetrack or the fans. It's about the other people in the pits, because they're the ones that bitch the hardest. They have a lot invested. But if you were to tech the cars from 10th place to last on any given night, you will find people cheating at there. I don't care what racetrack it is. I don't care what series it is. That is where you will find the people cheating.
It's a good point,
Yeah,
Adam.
I think
our cars we're through the tech barn most nights, and that's a very good point.
You know, to your point, Adam, you're right. We want to catch anything. We want to tech the shit out of everybody we possibly can. But at the end of the day, I mean, the night when Mike won the second crate race and we tear him down to bare nuts, we measure everything up, everybody seems happy, and Mike's not pissed off at us for the tech we've had to do. I think that's a successful night at the racetrack. Now, we don't want to be tearing him down every week, but
No.
you know, we've done our part to quell some of the chatter. Mike passes all the tests. We can shake his hand. And Mike Miller said something many years ago, and this is one thing we always talk about when we talk about serious tech, is, you know, a racer of your stature should appreciate solid tech as a validation of your skill and hard work. Not be mad that you're there till 3 a.m. We're validating the effort you guys have put in. So can you be not frustrated when you're getting tore down time after time?
I wasn't frustrated at all, because I didn't have anything to worry about. I don't ever have anything to worry about. Brockville. Yeah, frustrating night.
When you thought you blew up, but you didn't.
It was terrible. I texted Clint. I said the thing just blew up. Kind of not glad we took it apart, but it turned out to be just a simple ignition switch going bad, and the sounds I heard was just fuel popping in the pipes as the car came to a stop in gear, which was great, but it was bothering me. So by Port Hope, I had to pull into the en route and take the rocker covers off the engine and in the trailer, and they were all there. So then I was thinking about it all the way to St. Catharines. And when I got to St. Catharines at 3:30 in the morning, I unloaded the car and pulled the pulled the cap off and rolled the car back and forth. The rotor moved, so I knew the cam didn't break, and Paulie flicked the switch on, and there was nothing. So we got off easy, but we still kind of hemmed ourselves in a little bit on that AST National with the DNF. But just gotta work hard and race hard and hopefully dig out of that hole.
So Schweik Tech is officially off the Brockville deal, right? The switch had nothing to do with us tearing the road. And think about me, Adam. I'm having a beer at Merrittville with T-Mac from T-Mac's Bar and Grill. And we're standing there. I got a text from Bowman during the sportsman race. It says he blew up, and I was like, oh, man. Because as a promoter, you don't want to tear his motor apart. We put it back together, and then it comes apart. So that kind of reminded me. But I did wake up to a text the next morning from Mike after staying up all night and said, yeah, man, all's good. So, no, it's cool, Mike. We appreciate you being here. Any message you want to say before we send you off? You got some big races coming. You're obviously one of the favorites to win the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is crazy to think about that you would be, standing atop the favorites list going into a race like that from the local guys because you've had the best season.
Yeah, I mean, when we started this year, I didn't know where we would slot in. I knew, when we finished we won our first heat the first week there, and I was like, okay. And then the second week we finished second, I think. So I knew we were going to be competitive. I just had to get a little bit more consistent with my driving, and we had to find a box to play in as far as the car setups are concerned. But I got really good guys. They're all serious guys. We take great notes, and I think we found that box pretty quickly. And I don't know. I just didn't even imagine having a shot at the 360 championship my rookie year. If you had told me that, I would have laughed at you in May. But here we are, and looking forward to the Nationals. Yeah, I don't foresee our friendship ever being affected by what's going on in the tech barn, Clint.
It's only been a year and a half, bud.
I got you let him away with a freebie there with the cylinder heads, okay?
How?
Well, I mean, you guys should be taking in some protest dollars at least here.
No, I disagree, Mike. I think as a track, we have to do our own thorough tech to keep the class right. If you as a competitor feel that we haven't done the tech right and you want to see more, then put up your cash or shut up. But I think, hey, man, when you keep running as good as you are, you're going to have to deal with us all summer long. And that's just the way it goes. You know how the game's played.
Not a problem. You guys are all good guys.
All right, Mike, we'll let you go. Thanks so much, and we appreciate it. Are you going to Brighton this weekend? Obviously, you're going for the national events. Are you taking both cars this weekend?
No, double duty it's not my favorite thing in the world. So we're just going to go run the crate because we've kind of put ourselves behind on that AST National Championship, and just really want to focus on coming out of Brighton with two good finishes, and we can get back west here where we're obviously strong. So that's our MO this weekend, 360 Friday night, and Brighton Saturday, Sunday.
Awesome.
Right on, Mike.
Look forward to seeing you there, Mike. Thanks for coming on.
Okay, boys.
Mike Bowman having a great season, double duty. I don't think we'll see Mike in the crates beyond this year. You know, we didn't really get to that discussion, but I think he realizes, he can't cherry pick too long. Mike could be probably making the move up. We'll get ready to bring in Matt Williamson in just a minute, but some news, Spencer. The picture I just sent you, Mikey Krechka came out with the news today. He'll be back in the field at Oshweekend. He's going to drive the second Palace car for Palace Brothers Racing with Kevin Loveys and Tyler Palace for Big Brian. So that's kind of cool for me to see my brother get back in the deal. It's been a tough season after coming off second at the Nationals last year, having some motor issues. So for Mike to get back out, the Krechka clan's happy.
Now, Clint, there's a driver who can contend with Mike Bowman on a slippery racetrack. Let's quickly, before we bring Matt on, and we can even talk to Matt Williamson about this because he'd be an expert. Who do you consider the top names on a slick sprint car track? Off the top of your head, who comes to mind?
Oh, man. It's tough for me because, obviously Bowman, my brother. Steve Lyons was good back in the day with that low and slow move on the inside. Damn. I think a lot of our guys are cowboys, like a Westbrook or a Martin.
That's the answer.
Man, they're so wild when the track is good.
That's the answer. Freaking nobody. Like, not Ryan Turner, not Corey Turner, not Glenn Stiers, not Josh Hansen, not Liam Martin, not Nick Sheridan. None of these drivers excel on a slick track. So why are we surprised? Like, we had this conversation this week. Who's to step
Brian
up
Howland.
and challenge?
There you
go. We almost need to solicit somebody for the Sprint Car Nationals who would come up, who is a slick track specialist from stateside, or
Jessica Zemkin, Brian Howland.
And I'm not knocking any of our drivers because our drivers are great. Steve Poirier is a good example, but I am saying none of our drivers jumped to the forefront to kick ass on a slick track, with the exception of Mike Bowman. And I would like to see Matt's opinion on slick track racing and what's the difference between a great racer and a great racer who can also get it done when there is absolutely no bite.
bring Matt on. We'll get into that discussion. Yeah, I mean, I know Mike, he's just hoping to get out there and have some fun. No expectations with the new deal, but, it is an Al Parker under the hood with a new Triple X chassis, and that's pretty much the combo Mike had with a lot more motor. So we'll see. Matt Farm's another good one. Doug Leonard bringing out all the zingers. Matt Williamson, welcome to the show, Matt. We haven't got to talk to you too much since the whole schmozzle went down earlier in the summer. We're not really here to rehash it all. We know you said a lot. Obviously, we give you a platform to say what we want. Bowman did a pretty good job of slamming the other side of things, so we'll leave it off that tonight. But let's talk about how your season's been going, Matt. Still doing all the multiple duties with all the teams. How's it going, man?
It's good, guys. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been a good summer. Obviously, it started off very well, and we went to Florida, ran good, and then Bridgeport, and kind of continued up here and had some success locally, and then kind of what Mike's going through. As soon as you start running good, everybody thinks you're cheating. So that all kind of was a speed bump in the road, but for the most part, we're trying to make the best of it.
Matt, how do you combat that? And there's this one isolated incident. We know you haven't been back to Merrittville, but in the big picture, you have a lot of detractors on the internet. I think partly because they probably don't like a Canadian coming down and taking some of their glory. How do you deal with that?
It bothered me when I was younger. When people would talk bad on Dirt Track Digest back in the day, or now it's Facebook. Everybody just does it on Facebook. You kind of look at where it's coming from. Most of the people on Facebook are, that are jaw-jacking don't have the balls to do it underneath the real name. They all got fake profiles and whatever. And nobody really ever will come up to your face and say what they say on the internet. So I just kind of let it be. I don't join any of them groups that constantly, jaw-jack you, because it's probably not good for your mental health to look at that all day. But yeah, just, you try and win races, and in the end, there's people that, be nice to your face, and when you're out there racing and you're leading a race, they're probably pouting on their couch. So as long as you can keep winning races and win more of them, that's what upsets them. And, that's hard work that takes that happen, so you just got to keep your head down, keep working, and win races and make them pout on the couch.
Matt, what is the situation? Are you ever going to get back to Merrittville? Some people are saying you just need to get over it and come back and start taking the wins again. Where's it with that?
No, I won't be back. Unless Merrittville officials and ownership apologize for the wrongs that were done, I will not be going back to Merrittville Speedway. We've done our part in proving that we did nothing to the tire, not tamper the tire. Doug can say that we didn't meet the benchmark and blah 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 blah, and that's the rules they follow. But at the end of the day, there was either two things that happened. One was that the samples were tampered with, or the test was faulty. And we can prove that in sending our samples to another lab, where they said that none of the chemicals that Merrittville said were in the tire were in that tire. So the tech inspector from Merrittville sent those tires out. It wasn't like we paid off a lab or paid off somebody to do it. We did everything proper to prove that nothing was done, and that's all we can do. And at this point, I expect an apology. I think that Gary and Dalton are in the same boat, and until that happens, we won't be going back.
Matt, has it been fun to barnstorm a little on Saturday nights through the summer, which is something you've never done in your entire career?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first Saturday that we were off, after the suspension, I remember sitting on my lawnmower and I was like, really emotional, upset about the whole deal. But since then, we picked up some special races. We went to Mercer a few weeks ago to the Ryder Memorial Race, and that was cool to go to. I mean, it's going to be better next year because I'll have both cars kind of lined up to travel a little more. We're going to start the year off, I think, at Canandaigua, but I still have to have meetings with some people involved in the race car and figure out whether we can make it happen or not. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I can say that we're probably going to, travel around on Saturday nights and enjoy the summer.
I mean, I think I speak for everybody in the Niagara region. They'd love to see you guys bridge that gap. So hopefully, you guys can figure out a way to make that happen, to get back to your home track. Matt, Super Dirt Week coming up. You've had some fantastic runs there. You're still in the points contention here in the Super Dirt Series. You're coming into one of the most important months of the year. It all builds up to this. You can win cash and points all year, but the big money's coming in. World Finals. How do you feel you and your team are getting ready to roll into the most important 60 days of the year?
We're excited. I'm sitting in my shop right now. I just sent out the Oswego car back to Old Forge for the Buzz Chew guys to put back together. So we're putting a new car together for that. And we got a new motor coming for Charlotte at the end of the year. Not a new motor, but a fresh piece coming for Charlotte at the end of the year. So I think we're lining ourselves up to, put an assault on here going forward. But obviously, it all starts at Super Dirt Week, double points, anything can happen. Matt could break and we could win, and then, we could have a 50-point lead going into Charlotte. So we'll just see what happens. We'll keep our head down, keep working, and, try and make it a little bit closer to a points race. But Matt's so good. It seems like, the minute you make up 5 or 10 points, he makes them up the next night. So it's tough to make up that 60, but we'll see what happens.
Do you pay attention, Matt, to who is prepping the track at Oswego? We've seen so many different types of track there, from great racy track to, landmines in the corners. There always seems to be controversy surrounding who's going to be in charge of setting up the track. Is that something you even think about, or do you not pay attention?
Yeah, absolutely we pay attention. Jeremy Corcoran did it last year, and I thought that it was pretty good considering what we had the year before. But I know he's not doing it this year. I think there's a financial problem with, paying him the money that he wants. And, if anybody that goes down there, you guys know he don't sleep much of that week. So I hope that they can figure that out and they can get him back, because really he's been the only one that's been able to figure out how to put play down on the asphalt and make it good.
Now let's talk about new strategy. Live pit stops have kind of gone away. They've taken away the two-way radios. That was the big thing that made the 200 at Syracuse and Oswego different than everything else. How's that change your strategy now with the competition yellow instead of live pit stops and radios?
It puts a little bit more on my shoulders as far as a driver. I'm going to have to make the decisions from the seat, which at first I really didn't like doing, because last year on the radio, I came on saying we didn't need to take tires, and we did. So my track record making the decisions isn't very good, but it's safety wise. It makes it a little less Super Dirt Week. Makes it a little less super, I should say, but for the safety of all the pit crews and drivers, I think that it's probably the right decision.
The fact that nobody was seriously hurt at the state fair, watching pit roads, like, Matt, for people that might not remember, what was it like to pull onto pit road when people would wind up pitting 3 wide because you couldn't get into your pit stall? Like, it was chaos.
It was chaos. You said it right. We are lucky. We should, thank whoever we need to thank that nobody got killed over the years at the mile, on pit road. I only got to do it a few times in the small block race and once in the big block race. And it was sketchy as a driving standpoint. You have the mentality that you're going to do anything you need to do to, beat the other cars that are around you on pit road. And the safety of other people's pit crews didn't come to the first thing that you should be thinking of. So luckily nobody got hurt. I think that they made it safer at Oswego by mandating helmets and making the fuel guys wear fire suits. But ultimately, dirt Northeast modifieds are not meant to do live pit stops. Even at Oswego, you got the fuel inlet on the left-hand side of the race car. And there's half the pit stops on the right-hand side of the pit area. So it's a crapshoot. It's good that they're doing what they're doing. Hopefully it will be a good race and the fans will be entertained by what happens on the racetrack and not have to worry about what happens on pit road.
I think it's been exciting all along. we've talked about how sketchy Syracuse was, Matt, and the races you got to drive. But when you exited pit road, you were on the cinders through 1 and 2. I can't imagine what it must have been like dropping down off that ramp in turn 1 back in the olden days. But, Matt, we appreciate you being here with us. We wish you good luck going into the final weeks of the summer here, or final months of the summer, and, of course, getting into the fall, or what we'll call money season for Money Matt.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Always a pleasure. Anytime you want to have me on, let me know.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, man. Good luck for the rest of the season. We'll talk to you again.
Wow, I didn't think this was going to be a tech bash, but it turned into that tonight. But so many wild stories going on out there. You
notice one thing.
It's got to be frustrating when you're good. Go ahead.
We never talk to the tech people. We always tell these stories, and for good reason, right? For the same reason, quite often race directors don't do a lot of press. Tech people don't do a lot of press because their job is to be behind the scenes. But what we do have to do is talk about tech and talk about officiating with the competitors. So it's kind of a lopsided conversation. But the fact that you're the general manager, just like you said, you're on the other side of that equation. That's a great point.
I would love to get Mike Miller and Daryl from APC and all them guys at a round table. That might be a good talk-up session one time. Let's bring Doug Leonard on to talk about a situation that happened at Merrittville Speedway on Saturday night. It's the great debate. Round 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here we go, everybody who likes to see me and Adam fight. Get your popcorn because it's about to kick off. So, Doug, before I kick Adam's ass in this stupid debate for the 7th time this broadcast season, let's talk about what happened at Merrittville. Thunderstocks come across the line. We have it from the drone video, so play it, Spencer, if you can, the last lap. So, stop it there, Spencer. Is this lap 19? So, the two cars just on the right side, top of your screen, heading off towards turn number 1 at Merrittville. We're sitting in turn 3 and 4 at Merrittville. So, play it, Spencer. This is last lap. They're taking the white flag right now. Those two cars go through turn 1 and 2, the far end, top of your screen, work their way onto the back straightaway. This is the back end of the field coming through the bottom of your screen. Here come the leaders back down the left side of your screen. In through 3 and 4, the orange car. Mark Fawcett leading. Or is this... Where are we at, Doug?
No,
we already saw the
finish. Click again, Spencer. I just screwed that whole thing up. That was no good. So this is the finish coming right now, right?
Yeah.
So stop it there.
That's correct.
So there's your cars at the finish line by the red Tim Horton sign on the right side of your screen. So there's pretty much a dead heat, Doug. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I mean, Ron Logie took the lead on lap 15. We had a caution. It was a single file restart, and he was just kind of controlling the race. And he was liking the top side, and Mark was digging on the bottom, and they were coming out of 4. And just as they were coming around the 4, I turned to my right and turned back behind me and said to Fran, this is going to be his first win of the year? And Fran's like, yeah. And as I turn around and look, it's like, oh my goodness, I don't think this just happened. I mean, visually, it did look like the 32. I looked to my left on the scoreboard, and it never changed. I mean, 97 was in the number 1 spot, and 32 was in the 2nd spot. And I let it sit there for about 15 seconds, and then I turned to Kenzie and went, Kenzie, did you change anything? And she's like, nope. It's 1/1000th of a second. And I'm like, okay. I got on the radio right away, called over to tech and said they have to measure transponder locations. I got on the one-way radio and said to both the 97 and the 32 not to leave the technical area until we've measured transponders. And it was about 2 minutes later, the 97 was rolling to victory lanes.
Okay, stop it there. Adam, anything you want to say before we get into the
we gotta go with transponders.
Story?
Sorry?
There is. That was an awesome... Don't say is there anything you want to say and then start opening your beak. It's not how we roll. Is there anything you'd like to say? And another thing. Yes, I'd like to say that was an awesome race. That was two drivers showing a lot of respect, right?
Yep.
And don't let that get lost on the fun that I have fighting with the two of you.
So, here's where it gets interesting. So they measure over. They measure the transponders, Adam, because whether you like the rule or not, right, here's where we're at. We're still going off the rule the transponders are the end of the word. So that's what we're going off. Doug, you measure the transponders. Transponders are in the exact spot. But let's talk about the situation.
Location. Right.
So this is how most people mount their transponder. So you're looking at, let's say, I don't know what the exact was, but 18 inches from the center of your rear end to the center of your transponder, which would be right here. So what happens if your transponder is this way, Adam? Now, there's no rule in the book that says it has to be up and down. It says it has to be centered 18 inches from your rear axle. So that's a situation you run into at Maryville. So me being on the Ontario Dirt Competition Committee, driving home from Salt, my phone's blowing up. Well, is this going to win you the race? Or is this going to win you the race? Or if you have it this way, are you behind the race? We find a gray area. Doug, what happened after that?
So they come across the radio and said, check your phone. So I've got my phone right down in front of me, and I'm watching Race Monitor and my Race Pass, and it's a text from the tech team in Maryville, and they said the 32 had mounted his transponder vertically, but the 97 had his horizontally. And it's just like,
so one was this way, one was this way.
So right away, go ahead.
We talked about it. You asked me for my thoughts on it. I obviously not an official, but from the Ontario Dirt Competition Committee side of things, how we do it, you and I bounce things off of it. As it was written, as the rules are written, the 97's the winner. Yes. I can see us getting into the off season where we have to write a rule that your transponder must be vertical, not horizontal in its position. And this is something that Doug and I run into with rules every year. We didn't invent the rule book, but we find we need new rules as we come into situations.
Can we call that specific rule Dumb and Dumber? Because I think you should take a bad rule and make it worse. Like you really should.
Okay.
That's how it should be.
Let's get into the fun debate so we can work on getting everybody 2 Christmases with our divorce. So
yes.
Adam's feeling is that it should be visually off the first part of the car that crosses a visual finish line. You agree to that, Adam?
Yes.
I will say to you, we've already discussed it many times. Technically, it doesn't work because the transponder's in different places on every car we have. A Volkswagen is different than a Mustang in wheelbase and size, as Doug likes to say. I'll pitch a new thing to you, Adam. This transponder is a lot like hockey or football. This is the piece that matters. Just like in football, the ball matters to cross the line. In racing, the transponder matters to cross the line. The football game doesn't start until the ball gets kicked down the line. The race doesn't start until the transponder crosses the line. So I'm going to put it up to you, Adam, that just like in football, the football is what counts. The person is the vessel. In hockey, the puck is what counts. The stick is the vessel. In racing, the transponder is what counts. The race car is the vessel.
Wrong. So we're racing transponders.
Yes.
It's dumb.
Well, let's use an example and let's go back to Maryville. So Maryville's
so titles are what you don't like?
So
go ahead,
Maryville's transponder line, if you line up a dirt modified or a sportsman car, it sits over top of the right rear, the transponder does. So if you measure from where the loop is to the front bumper is the same distance from the loop to the starting edge of the starter stand. So let's go back to Saturday night. We have the Action Sprint Tour there. And in 2 weeks, we're going to have the SOS there. That transponder location's on the right front corner. So how are we going to do it based on that? If they're crossing your line, it's different locations. And I know there's a track in the Northeast. They've actually moved their starter stand, but never changed their loop location. So from their starter stand to their loop location is about 25 feet now. But they still base it off the loop. So you can't have an official start line or finish line on a dirt track.
Yeah. Now, let's be clear. I understand what you do, and I understand why you do it. I just don't think it's right. Clint, you're wrong. The transponder is not the vessel. The car is the vessel. And the football doesn't have to cross the line in a football game. Just the tip. You could call football just the tip. But that name was already
this
taken.
tip has to cross the line. If this tip crosses the line, you're scoring.
No,
if
you're
it doesn't
wrong.
cross the line,
Don't
you're
make
not scoring.
stupid arguments. The tip of that transponder doesn't register. It's anyhow. What I found humorous today, Merrittville Speedway, and exactly what they should have done, they made an exciting social media post about the photo finish on the weekend. Unfortunately, it's bullshit, because a photo finish means take a picture of the screen that Kenzie works from. It's not a photo finish. There's no such thing as a photo finish anymore, because you go by the screen and the transponders. And you didn't do even... I get what you're saying. I get your argument. My point is, you still haven't done it. You still haven't gotten to the point where it's like, aha, oh my God, they're right. No, you're not. It's still dumb.
No, what I would say to you, Adam, is...
You're coming from a pavement background where the classes that you cheer for they're the same length. The car from front bumper to rear bumper is the same length. So let's say you're going to fit that. In dirt, it's not. They're different lengths. Modifieds and sportsmen, sure, are one thing. Sprint cars are one thing. When we get into our Thunder stocks, Hoosier stocks, Street stocks, and into our mini stocks, they're different lengths. That's why you have to base it off the transponder.
No, it's still the frontmost piece of the car, just like it's the frontmost piece of a runner crossing the line or a horse crossing the line. And Alvers, you're absolutely right. My opinion doesn't matter, but it's good for ratings because people love this debate. And what I'm saying to you, Clinton, and to you, Doug, respectfully, you still haven't swayed my opinion, and I still think I am by far ahead of this debate. And the people who watch the show generally agree with my assessment. And I know, because it's the only thing that the masses have ever sided with me on in our shows is this actual debate. And I've got the solution.
So how are you going to
want to implement it?
How are you going to put this line on a dirt track?
You're going to use it with 2 markers. You're going to one marker.
But I don't, okay, hold on. I will give you that a visual situation may be better for the fan experience in a very small, finite amount of races. On the most weeks, it doesn't care. The guy's got him by a car length. Your finish line can be anywhere on that straightaway. What I would say, though, Adam, is technically, how are you going to do it? You've got all cars, different wheelbases, the transponders in different locations. So visually, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Let me finish. 1, 2, or 3.
No,
sure, it's easy to visually do it. But when they're in a pack, how are you going to figure out who's where when they all come across old school? It's a bunch of bullshit. And we can pretend they can do it humanly, but you cannot do it.
I told you how, and you haven't done it. Try it.
Wait a second.
I'll show you how it works.
No, you're fine. You're right. You want your laser pointer, and that's for your visual line. The loop location at Ohsweken is different than the loop location at Merrittville, as it is at Humberstone. So these drivers are going to have to... They're going to have to move their transponder location to go from Ohsweken to Merrittville to Humberstone on a given 3-day weekend. And where they have to know where the location is to measure to the front nose of their car.
Well, no, the rule is the rule. The rule has to be the same. The rule should be common, just like most rules are. And Alvers, issues like this aren't that rare. We've seen this now 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years. And it's enough that it's important. We're a visual sport. Let's go back to the days. Do you remember the days when the Toronto Sun, if you pulled out the second page of the Toronto Sun, I'm going to date myself here. You got the Sunshine Girl. You got all the recap of the sports.
3, wasn't you?
You got the weather. Yeah, that's the second page is the inside back cover and the inside front cover. And it had all the vitals, the weather, the biggest sport. In the sports section, you'd see pictures of the finish of the Kentucky Derby. And they'd get the best picture that shows one horse ahead of the other. Or you'd get the picture of the finish at Darlington. It's all very visual, and that's how people are, and they pay for that thrill. So I understand you want something that's black and white and has no opinion with it. but that's not the
Yes.
entertainment world that we live in.
No
Yeah, but you
opinion.
can't have it.
No judgment. No judgment. You're gonna have
Right.
to judge.
You can't have that. You can't have it. People
That's
The
want to
biggest
be
screw ups in
judged.
sports. The biggest screw ups in sports are when we let humans make calls and judgments. We are trying to get it.
Okay,
It's
well,
easy for you who gets your pay and struts out of the track 10 minutes after the race while Doug and I are fighting with every jackass in the pits till 3 in the morning because his wife has a video of Johnny Blue 2 inches ahead of Johnny Red, and it ain't going to work out now, and nobody can go home because they're ready to burn the place down. Yeah, we want it black and white.
Tell me this, Clinton Geoffrey. Did you put any effort into my suggestion? When you said last time, you don't have a solution. And then I said, but wait, I do. Did you put any effort into it?
No.
That would
In
allow
fact,
me
I don't even
to
remember
prove
what
my
it
case?
was, so why don't you tell me again what it was? And Doug
Give
and
me
I
two
can tell you if
visual
it's going to
markers.
work or not right now.
Give me 2 visual markers and 1 camera. I know we have lots of cameras. Take the one that used to be
Okay.
pointed at me in the tower and that
No,
bright
no,
light.
no.
That's all I need.
No, listen up. So you want us to move that line after every heat, because after mini stocks it's going to have to be here, and after sprint cars it's going to have to be here,
Listen,
and thunder stocks going to have to be here.
You were mistaken. You and Doug are talking about lengths of cars. The lengths of the cars don't matter. All right. If my forearm is longer than your
What?
forearm and we stick it out and walk towards a wall, I'm going to hit the wall before you do. I don't care where you put your transponder. You can stick it up your ass. My forearm's longer. It's the furthest forward point of a car. It's not the length of the car doesn't freaking matter.
No,
'Cause
but
you're
use that
taking
thing.
that
Of course it matters.
If you
because it's
if you
going to reach
No.
the line first.
think of what you
You
just
guys-
said. If we come out of turn 4, we come out of turn 4, the 3 of us. Your forearm's longer because you're taller, and I'm in the middle, and Clinton's third, and we all run the same exact speed. Who wins? You, because you got a longer forearm.
I do if my arm's out. That's right.
Right, but
That's
you
how
can
this
go
works.
faster.
There's
I
a
can go
winner
So
and
why
a
don't we just-
loser. That's
Why don't we just build a big train nose out front of my car then? I'll build a street stock with 8 feet of bumper on it, and I'll win every damn race.
You won't because we have a rule book. You guys, like, if you knew how ridiculous you sounded, like, what should someone? Because you're making no sense. Like, come to me
Neither
with
are
an
you.
It
argument
makes no sense
that
to your
makes
forearm
sense.
analogy.
But hold on.
The furthest.
I'll give you
the
that, Adam.
furthest point
That's
forward.
fine. So we're throwing transponders all away, and we're just going to go back to old school scoring.
Now
You
you're
don't
getting
get
bitter.
both.
Now you're getting.
No, you don't get both,
Yes, you do.
though. I'm not bitter. I think
do
you're
use
crazy.
both.
How you
do
going to...
absolutely
But then you're going to
matters,
but
say...
on lap 20 it goes up.
No. Okay, hold on. We have your visual line out there, but we haven't done those precise calculations because you say it doesn't matter. Now we have a photo finish that crossed the line, but the transponder says that they haven't even reached that finish yet. So how is that argument going to stand up for me and Doug in the tech barn later on that night? It doesn't. We look like even bigger jackasses. You know what? I'll give you a but. In almost 30 years of going to races, I have yet to drive home and go, you know what made my night ruined? We didn't have a damn finish line. And my night would be so much better if we just had a visual finish line so I could watch the cars and see it with my own eyes who won that race instead of looking up there and have a computer precisely tell me exactly who won that race. Shit, that'd be so much better, Adam.
It can't tell you.
It does. It says who was number 1, who was number 2, and if it's a close race, everybody goes, ring, and it's right there on the screen. It's magic. Within seconds,
So
all
if it
5 of
pops
them
up
are
on-
up there.
I'm going to use the telestrator, and I'm going to write, Clint is an asshole. And because you can see it on the screen, it must be true. Which is unfair, because it actually is fairly true. It's not really arguable. But
I'm okay
I
with
enjoy
that.
the debate. I enjoy this discussion, but what I am saying is you're not bringing a good argument to the table. It's
So I have
it's
to
the
clear up a
lazy
couple
way,
things
it's
here,
the easy
Doug.
way.
No, it's not. It's not the lazy way.
I can't wait to give you a forearm shiver on Friday.
I'm trying to not. I'm not being disrespectful.
No, I know.
In fun, we're having. I respect your opinions. I just think you have missed the point.
Okay.
When you finish a marathon, they pull a paper thing across the finish line, and the winner
Right.
is the one that breaks the paper.
Perfect.
No matter
I'd
where
love
their
for you to stand out
transponder
there.
is.
I'd love to you to stand out there and have a 3-way battle and hold a piece of paper and let those guys hit you.
But
No, all I'm saying,
saying
Adam, is your idea isn't bad, but I'm still trying to clarify. Are you saying we visualize the winner and everybody else goes to transponders, or are we visualizing everybody across the line?
on the final lap, you're visualizing everybody. If
No way,
it
I
matters,
quit.
you
It
I
does
get it.
matter. That's why we use computers.
99 times out of 100, it's going to be a non-issue because it's fairly
100%.
clear.
I totally agree there. But do you know how many drivers check their total times and their lap times? And all of a sudden on the last one, we're just going to throw it out the window? The most important one, the money one, you want to throw it out the window?
To get it right,
Yeah.
because it's a visual sport. We're not time trialing. We're not time trialing. If you were talking about rally racing, or where you race
No.
against the clock, we don't
Let me
race
tell
against the
you,
clock.
sir. When we started talking with NASCAR about the NASCAR Pinty Series and I pushed for brakes, they said, no, for over 60 years, NASCAR has been time over distance. So that's all that matters. It is very much time, how long it takes you to cover that distance.
No, it's not. They're mistaken because the person who starts on the pole, triggers the line first. What if you start 30th and win? You have covered far more distance in a matter of time. So don't even equate that.
Yeah, you've gone faster. That's how you got to the front. If you started last and you won that race, you have completed the race in less time than everybody else. You won the time over distance.
No. If you started first and finished second, and you started 30th and finished first. Yeah, if you started 30th and finished first, and the car pushing you across the line started first and finished second, the car that finished second actually did that race in a shorter time. 15 rows difference. Well, 14, because he'd be second in line.
I'll give that to you, but we're still paying the first transponder across the line, the winner.
Right.
That's fair.
Doug and I do not want to stand in that tech barn and argue with 3 sprint car drivers about who won the 10,000 US at the Nationals this year. And I think it was a few years ago when Brittany first was timing with us. We had to rebuild the race through video and transponder laps because the computer crapped out, and it was not a pleasurable 3-hour stint for us after those races.
I do want you to acknowledge this, and I don't ask for much. But when this has happened at the racetrack, and even Greg has goaded me on or said, no, this isn't the place for that discussion. This is the place for that discussion on Tuesday night on a talk show. But when you're at the track, whatever the rule is what the rule is. Just like Doug, you had the transponders measured because that's what the rule is at Merrittville, and that's what you go by. So as long as that's the case, you won't see me making this big claim at the racetrack because rules are the rules. If you want them changed, change the rules. But if that's the way the rule is, you're enforcing the rule and you're assessing things exactly the way they're written. My argument is I think they're written improperly. So that's the difference. I try not to do that.
Clint said it earlier too. And I like circumstances that happen like on Saturday because all of a sudden you look at the rule book and you're like, all of a sudden there is a gray area. So, I mean, we've already both noted it in our notes for next year that transponders might have to be mounted vertically versus horizontally. But you're right. I mean, I didn't write the rule book. I just followed it.
And what I would like from this argument, because it's not over, I would like you to come back. I'd like you to come back with an argument that does not mean we do this because it's easier for us, because we don't have to get yelled at in the tech shed. Because I don't care about that. You know what I mean? Like we get yelled at a lot in the tech shed. Everybody does. And I get bullshit, why you want that.
You're the last one to come in for your paycheck and the first one to leave. The yelling's already done by the time you walk in.
Let me ask a question, Ryan, because we can talk about this.
I get more hate mail than you do.
We could talk about this for days. Oh, I don't know. That's a close finish. People just actually send the hate mail to you. They just bitch to me about Doug. But let's talk about it, Adam. In all your years of racing with a transponder, did you ever feel you were cheated out of your finish by what the transponder rundown gave you?
No, the closest I finished third once, 7/1000ths of a second behind first. I
Did you
replayed
measure his
that race
nose?
in my mind. It was disappointing though, but I believed firmly I finished third. I knew where we were at the finish line. I thought, yeah, that wasn't my race. No, Clinton,
so you didn't get
I've
screwed
made
by
my
the
case. No, I've made my case, and I
I'm
feel
just
like
saying.
you have done an inadequate job of making yours. That's where we're at. Do better.
Well, I make the rules and you get to talk about them, so piss up a rope.
I know.
Good discussion. Thanks for joining us, Doug. We'll let you go. Busy weekend for you coming up, obviously, but excited to keep rolling.
And good job on assessing that finish and having the transponders measured and understanding how it worked and putting the car in victory lane that, by the rule book, won that race. And hell of a job racing that way for Logie and Fawcett.
Yeah, I mean, and they both handled it really well. I told them afterwards, like, I need to have a discussion with the powers to be and of the ODCC, and both were respectful. And I walked away, and I know they still continued on the conversation. So, two classy gentlemen, two classy race car drivers.
Right on, Doug. Have a good night. We'll see you around, bud.
Thanks, guys.
I'm wearing a helmet on Friday. And Clinton, thank you again for bringing on Doug Leonard and not telling me he was coming, as though like I'm gonna dream up something to screw him by. I'm paying attention. This is the second time you've done it. You always tell me who our guests are, but when it's Doug Leonard, it's last minute. I don't get to know that he's coming until the very end.
I thought I told you. It must have been Spencer I told, so we're all right.
You're full of shit.
No, I didn't bring Doug on to back me up. We brought him on to talk about the thing, but that spurred on the discussion. And no, he'd have my back, so we're good. Let's jump into wow, man, we're way over time already. Let's quickly set up some stuff. Canadian Sprint Car Nationals registration will be open in the next 24 hours for any sprint car teams looking to get on that. That's September 15th and 16th at Oshweekend. Watch for news coming out about that. We have our big sprint car weekend this weekend. We'll be, of course, live at Oshweekend for Backpack Night. Getting ready to get that going on Friday. So if you're a kid, come on out, get ready for some backpacks. Hey, how about this? Gail Hill from Gail's Auto Aftermarket, Bob Lickers told me today they dropped off 55 extra backpacks that they bought to give away to kids, along with 100 we're going to have from Oshweekend. So over 150 backpacks will be given away to lucky kids going back to school this Friday, Oshweekend. Make sure you join us on G-Force if you're too far away to get to the Speedway. Then Saturday we move on to Brighton, which is Saturday and Sunday with the 360s and the Action Sprint Tour, along with some other classes down at Brighton for their Sprint Extravaganza weekend. Adam and I will also be at CTMP during the day for the NASCAR Pinty Series road course race with 2 races to go. Quite the championship heating up there. Anything else we're forgetting?
Let's pump up this NTN deal. Spencer, did you grab that picture? Because this is actually pretty cool. Every racetrack has people that are associated with it, whether it's Flamborough and Gary Calling, whether it's wherever you go. Sunset Speedway has Courtney and Ben, who do a ton of work around the racetrack. And I think it's really cool that NTN Bearings is running a full commercial based around Courtney Wright, who is one of the right-hand people at Sunset Speedway, kind of do a lot for Brian and Sandra. And Clinton, you've seen the spot, and I've seen the spot. I think we'll be able to show it next week. But it's really well done. I thought that's awfully cool, taking people that are sort of in our small little piece of the world and sending them to the mainstream.
Yeah, we're partnered with NTN too here at G-Force TV, so I'm sure you'll probably see that commercial end up in our rotation maybe as early as this weekend. So excited to have that. Yeah, I thought when I was watching NASCAR Pinty Series, I thought, shit, is that Courtney? And it looked really good. It was a good production. You know, you and I are usually critical of some of the racing commercials we have, but I thought it was well done. So good to see that happen. We do have a couple Burger Barn videos of the week to get going, and I want to tell everybody, if you haven't been to the Burger Barn lately, Petro Plus Fuel Stop, who is our official fuel supplier here, and they're right on our banner right now, so the timing's perfect. They have opened the store portion now. So if you're around, you get more than fuel, you can get more than great burgers right on the compound now. The store is open, and the travel stop portion of Petro Plus is open. So make sure you check that out. 2966 4th Line Road, Caledonia, right outside Oshwegan. If you're there, you know where the Burger Barn is. A couple Burger Barn videos of the week now. This one, Adam, was from... show what you got, Spencer. I don't know what one we're going to show first. What was a fuel cell being knocked off one car and ending up in another car's dash, which was insane. What we got, Spencer?
That one around down the low side of turn number 2.
Adam, check this out. A bit of an instant. Cars get together, and a fuel cell comes off one car and ends up on the dash of another car right there, and the car's up on the outside and catches fire with the whole fuel cell pouring gas into the cockpit.
Wow.
So there was an incident where that fuel cell got detached from one of the other cars. And play it again, Spencer. Maybe we can pick up. So it's the number 35 on the outside here. Drivers gets out unharmed, which is great to see. Here you go. It's going to come off that car and end up right in the dash of the 35, who's on the left side top of the screen there. Craziness. What else we got, Spencer? Any other Burger Barn videos of the week in the queue? If you got them, roll them. Adam, this is one you sent in. What did you want to show us here?
This is Kaylee Bryson at Worldwide Technology Raceway. And I hope this sound is on, because she said, man, was it ever cool to be drafting at 180 miles per hour? These cars are the most badass race cars, Clinton. And these drivers race them at some of those badass tracks. But that would have been breathtaking to watch this guy. Watch the closing rate. It's just, and these things, when they start the race, they have a absolutely full load of fuel hanging off the rear end of these race cars. Watch this. Like, that's a pucker up moment. The closing rate and the drive. But I just thought that was really neat. I still love some of the onboard cameras and the in-car cameras, the shots that people share. Because once in a while you watch something, it's like, wow, that's breathtaking.
Yeah, I want to send a shout out to anybody who wants to ride in-car. Mike Bowman had some in-car stuff he put up from Oshwegan. You can see just how smooth he is on the throttle there. So for anybody who wants to check that out, look Mike Bowman up on YouTube. You can find that. Let's talk quickly a couple of answers. Mike Cura says, did we say Nationals going to be 10K US? I might have let that slip. I didn't tell the boss man yet, but we're going to work and make that happen. We got to get this back to 10 grand. I'm working on trying to get the whole A-main payout back to a U.S. purse. So we'll have news on that in the next day or so. Fletch, good question. You're the crew chief. How does the fuel cell fall out? Some shitty work at home, I would say. It didn't look like a bad enough crash to tear it out. Maybe we need better tech guys up in that deal, but we'll see how that one goes. Yeah, bad nut and bolt check. What else do we have? Wingless racing in our stream, we addressed that before. Still a bit wild. I think we're going to stick them with the wings for now. And that was a Mighty Wipes moment. Adam, one last thing I want to mention to you. I picked up some Mighty Wipes from Pamela there at Mighty Wipes maybe a month ago. I knew we had some. My screen was messed up on my phone. I ran upstairs to get one yesterday, and when I came back down, any idea who was phoning me? Pamela. It was just creepy. I hadn't heard from Pamela from Mighty Wipes, and I hadn't used Mighty Wipes in a couple days. And as soon as I put one in my hand, it was like Beetlejuice. There she was. So that's all my stories I got. And the screen's empty. We have a full week ahead.
That was a good show. It was that debate that was almost too friendly. Like we almost should wait until we're pissed off at each other to fire that up again.
What do you want to see Adam and I fight about? Let us know. We love to fight. If you got a good argument, we'd love to get on it. But it's got to be genuine. We have to genuinely feel these rules. Now, Adam will be an ass. He'll just pick the other side whether he truly believes it or not, just to argue. But I have to really be passionate about it to care.
I'll give you a hint. We talked about a couple subjects today, Clinton. It doesn't upset me. It just makes me roll my eyes. Some of the bonus money that we're seeing in some of these fall races coming up. Like, I'm waiting for someone to put up $100 for the best one-legged racer. Right? It just, come on.
Like you told me
go
when
out there
on the
and win
NASCAR,
race.
you just don't even go there.
I know, but it's just, and no, I know. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of different ones and a lot of criteria. Some involved age, some involve gender, different ones involve hometowns. I'm like, are you kidding me? Just go out there and race.
Yeah. Fletcher's got an announcement. Tell us to hold up. We got about 2 minutes, Fletch, to type it up, and we'll get it going. Yeah, you can bring out his weight loss check. Late models from last Friday, we are trying to get those rescheduled, but there is some conflicts. Ransford's got a big race. Southern Ontario Motor Speedway's got a big race. And Mark from Brighton, who runs the NLMA, and myself for Dodge Weekend, we are really trying to be good neighbors and sister tracks. So we're trying to figure out a solution here where we're not going to step on everybody else's toes. Once again, we'll be live from Dodge Weekend Friday. We'll be live from Brighton Saturday and Sunday with some awesome dirt action from the east. Adam and I will be at CTMP Sunday, and they'll pick up your call of the race, right? I'm on pit road, so I won't be calling that with you. I guess you have Pat Gonzalez with you. So, pretty interesting. Yeah, trying to work with late models for the Sprint Car Nationals.
We're going to be sleeping in the same space this weekend, so I'm glad we didn't get too ugly fighting tonight. Cause
hey, there's the Fletcher announcement.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, and this is this is really cool. And unfortunately, it reminds me of when Jim Bray came and raced there in the early 2000s. So it's similar, but different, John. You're not quite as far.
Dude, that was a big rock you just threw at Fletcher. And my question for Fletcher was going to be, who's going to scream at everybody on pit road if you're behind the car? If you're in the cockpit, who's going to yell at everybody? He'll still do it. I can see that.
Still do it. No, that's really cool. That's really cool, John. Look forward to seeing that. And it's been a couple of years. Yeah, you know what, John? Let's get you on the show. Let's get you on the show in the next few weeks. Next week might be a little bit silly, but coming up, and let's chat about that, because that was a topic I want to make as well, Clinton. That's something else you and I talked about. People coming up in the industry right now, we're not able to talk about young racers skyrocketing to the peak of our sport. You know, being talented doesn't do that for you. But if you're smart and you can figure out, if you can learn what you need to learn, you could become the next Cole Pearn, or Caden Lapsevich, who's working his way up through the ranks, or Kyle Steckley, who's going to wind up doing something real similar and working his way up through the ranks. Right, wrong, or indifferent, there is still that opportunity to be in the sport.
Great show. We're way over time, but always great. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm going to let us go with one final Fletcher story. I was a rookie pit announcer on pit road. Gary Kloop gets wrecked. They go for the toe plates, and Fletcher screams at the crew, "We don't need the damn toe plates. We're just going out there to wreck the sumbitch." And the crew put the toe plates down, and we got on with the end of the race. It was still a good day. Good night. Adam, I think we've seen enough of each other. Fletch will be there to cover it, as you know. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks for your input. We always appreciate it. Stay tuned to the social medias. We'll get you all the news we can. Lots of things are still coming up, and it's going to be a great close to the season. Thanks, Adam.
Cheers.